Hey, come on in. Welcome to my little van. See that little black box? Let's check out what's inside there. As you can see, walking up to my van, kind of covered in salt and crap because it's mid-February and it's terrible outside. Absolutely terrible. And I basically spent all of January rebuilding my home studio. And I just posted a video. You can see, check out my home studio and see what I'm doing. All the odds and ends and bits and pieces that I've collected over the years, extra guitar pedals, little mixer, all this other kind of stuff. It's just sort of been sitting around doing nothing, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool to make like a travel studio that just fits in a box and I can take when I go on trips. As you can see here, my wife Christine and I have this sweet, sweet camper van, and we do a lot of traveling, and I thought it'd be great to bring a little portable music studio. And on this cold, miserable day, I've got the heater running here. I'm just parked at my house in the van, so thought it'd be fun to come out here and set up my portable studio and try different combinations, because there's so much equipment in here, it could be set up a lot of different ways. Alright, so I've got the toolbox down here. Let's take each thing out one by one and just sort of discuss it real quick. So, here I've got my Boss Micro BR80 digital micro recorder. This thing is awesome, absolutely awesome. Basically two I gotta say pretty good quality condenser mics on here, so like I don't need to bring a microphone with the studio if I wanted to record a track with some vocals or something. Microphones right on here, and this thing actually has a pretty kick-ass like vocal effects patch in here where you can do a bunch of stuff with the vocals, so pretty nice. Just basic, it's just got your basic 1/4 inch input, and then you've got like an 1/8 inch input for like your your MP3 player or something. They still have MP3 players, everybody uses their phone. But you can't record off of that. So I've got one input in here, basically run the guitar in. Multi-track, and then there's a few really cool things, good guitar effects in here. Here, well, if I go into the rhythm, I basically have a full drum machine in here. And it even has the guitar effects from here. Classic 808. I mean, it is pedals right in here, but really sort of. Okay, but I've got my little recording studio, so you kind of think of this thing sort of like the heartbeat of my whole studio, because everything's going to run into here so I can actually do some recording. I selected gear, spare gear I had that was all, had battery capability. So this guy here, and I'll show you the next little piece here, my little practice drum machine. So this is the Korg KR Mini. Basically just a whole bunch of different patterns to this thing. So if I want to just play some guitar, I just jam out, right? Bring the tempo up a little bit. Whole bunch of different patterns, styles, metal, rock, pop, right? Now this thing actually has a pretty cool little trick up its sleeve. I believe if I hold this button and this button together, now what you get is you can actually play these little pads like a little drum machine. So pretty cool, love it. And then outside of my guitar, which I'll get out in a second, the last, I guess, instrument that I bring with me are these two pocket operators. And pocket operators, what can I say? Cheap, cheap little pocket synthesizers, essentially. And I've got the sub bass, the PO14 I believe, and then the PO33, the KO. So this is a sub bass, like just killer bass lines. These things actually are they're pretty darn cool. That's just through like the tiny little like speaker that's built in on this thing. Headphones, gotta have those. I've got a little bag of assorted patch cables here for hooking all of this up, and that way I can sort of decide what I want to do as I go along, like how I want to hook this stuff up. Another bag of miscellaneous cables, right? A lot of these are like 3.5 mil cables, quarter inch cables. I've got my spare little earbuds in here, extra batteries, and some extra adapters. And then down here we've got a couple of power supplies. So if the van is at a campground and we're plugged in, then I can use power and get even more options. So we're going to explore that today because I do have the van plugged in here. So I'm going to try everything. I'm going to go with some just battery only setups as if we were like boondocking and we had no power, and then I'm going to go with some powered setups. Oh my goodness, how cool is this little dude here? This is the Vox AC30 amp simulator. So this plugs into my guitar, and then I basically run out of this through one of these cables, and I can go directly into here, whatever I need to do. And this simulates a Vox AC30 amp, so I can kind of get the distortion and all the cool features. So if I want to use distortion, usually I'll run it through here and use this, or I can just run a distortion straight into here. So there's my little Vox amp, and then also I've got my Honeytone. So my Honeytone little mini amp here. Okay, I got some rechargeable batteries that I bring with me, and then again, if we're plugged in and I got some power, I have a spare Ditto looper. This was my first looper pedal and still kicking around, so it's coming with me and I can do some loops. And I've got just a standard, like an old little Donner reverb pedal with a bunch of cool reverbs on it. My old Animals Relaxing Walrus delay, so just a nice analog delay. And then if I really want to get funky, I've got this Samson S-Mix. Man, I bought this, I've had this like a long time. This was essentially kind of my first mixer, like the very first thing I ever used, because I had a drum machine I wanted to plug in, and a microphone, and my guitar. And that's all it could do really. And then it does have a 4th channel, which I can probably use now with RCA jacks. And then you've got your 4 channels, and out you go, right? So that's it. Pretty interesting stuff here. Okay, so let's take some time and experiment a little bit and put this studio together and see what we all come up with here. All right, there is my Traveler guitar. Pretty cool. The only thing I'm going to critique the Traveler guitar on is like it does not stay in tune very well, and it's a bit of a pain in the butt to tune. But well, what do you want for a travel guitar, right? But other than that, pretty awesome. So it has this little doohickey that hooks into here, and then sits up on your lap. So let's get this thing tuned up. And I do keep a tuner in here, but I found this guy tends to work the best for tuning up my guitar. So I'm going to get my guitar tuned up, and then let's set up just a real basic setup, first of all, with just the amp. This thing does not stay in tune. Alright, so let's see what we got here. So we've got just the Honeytone. And then we have some overdrive on the Honeytone if we want it. And this thing will really crank. It'll go pretty loud. So let's back off of the overdrive a little bit. And well, let's turn on some effects, because I got a whole bunch of guitar patches on here I can choose from too. So let's see what we got here. Alright, we have powered up. So if I'm plugged in, I can run some power, and I've got some guitar pedals laid out, and actually on this little daisy chain I bought, it actually powers the amp and my little recorder here. So if I've got power, I don't have to worry about any of this. There's also an adapter for this, but Korg has those weird adapters, so a 9-volt won't work on it. That's okay, and here we go. So now we've got a little bit of little reverb. getting close to dinner time, and probably going to stop playing around with this soon. Even had to add a little bit of overhead light here. But we've got the pocket operators here. So these guys can be linked together and then synced so that they're working in conjunction with each other. But right now I'm going to make a little quick beat and just put this together and see what we get here. So, so over here, this is my sampler, and got some different sounds in here. Okay, and then I've also got some pretty cool bunch of synth sounds that I've sampled in, and I think I even did some chords. Okay. So, classic 4 on the floor. So let's go back. I think we do this again. Takes me into perform mode. So now I can try another sound. Wonderful. Okay, let's make ourselves a bass line on this guy, and then we'll be back to play it together. These are taking a lot longer than I thought. I had kind of messed with them before, and I'd never really connected them. I just kind of loaded some little samples into the sampler and just kind of listened to some of the patterns, so it took a little longer than I thought, but we got something going here. So we've got the little sub bass and the sampler, and the sampler's running a synth sample track and then some drums, and we're going to add in the bass line as well. And I didn't mean to do this, but the sounds that just started coming out sounded like Daft Punk, and well, this is what we ended up with. Super fun.